At the heart of the Republican platform is our pledge to end this border nightmare and fully restore the sacred and sovereign borders of the United States of America, and we're going to do that on day one. That means two things on day one, right? Drill, baby, drill, and close our borders.
There was former President Trump speaking at the Republican National Convention last night. It was his first speech since surviving an assassination attempt at the Pennsylvania rally. Trump and his VP pick, J.D. Vance, holding their first rally together, and Trump's first since the shooting in Michigan tomorrow. Joining me now is Missouri Congressman Eric Burlison, a member of the House Oversight, Transportation, and Education Committees. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks very much. As the RNC wrapped things up last night, give us your reaction and assessment.
It was an amazing speech that topped off an amazing week. It was very poignant, the fact that he has come back from surviving for an assassination attempt. He was humble. You could see it in his tone and his voice, and he showed his humanity to the world. He showed the fact that his relationship with his family, with his grandchildren, the fact that he loves the people that we've lost recently, including the person that did not make it past that assassination attempt.
Yes, Mr. Comprador, I'm glad you mentioned him, because this obviously was one of the key parts of the president's speech last night, as he had the former firefighter coat and his fire hat right on stage. And that was really a chilling moment, as President Trump praised Mr. Comprador and his family after he lost his life as a result of that assassin.
Yeah. Not only that, I mean, that moment was so touching. He walked over. You could tell that he was genuine and sincere. You can tell he's a changed man after these events, and who wouldn't be changed from these events? But look, what was the overarching theme of his speech, I think, is the humbleness that he demonstrated when he talked about that only by the grace of God is he standing on stage. He mentioned every breath is a gift from God. He said that this movement is not about him; it's about us. Every part of this speech was, I think, a person who is reflecting the fact that the rest of his life is a gift from God, and you can tell that he's changed and he's different.
Yeah, well, he definitely was on the verge of tears when he first came out on Monday for his first appearance, for sure. But look, Congressman, I want to get your take on what's going to happen next week, because Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheatle is still refusing to resign after the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. And of course, as you said, Corey Comprador dead, losing his life as a result of that assassin. But she is expected to testify before your committee, the House Oversight Committee, on Monday. FBI Director Christopher Wray reportedly declined that invitation to appear before the House Homeland Security Committee, which is in a separate investigation, also opening an investigation into how it's possible that President Trump was not kept safe and this assassin was able to get shots out. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan revealed that whistleblowers have come forward, saying that the Secret Service had limited resources ahead of the rally. And Florida Congressman Michael Waltz said that the shooter has 3 encrypted overseas accounts that the FBI is trying to get access to right now. You are on the Oversight Committee. You're going to be at that hearing, right? Tell us what you want to ask and where you think the big questions lie for Director Cheatle.
There's so many questions, but I want to know where the breakdown in communications occurred. You know, look, we know that 3 hours beforehand he was flagged for trying to bring in a rangefinder. That should have raised alarms to anyone. An hour before, he was demonstrating strange behavior enough that the crowd was reporting him. And then just minutes before, obviously, they saw him climbing a roof. Look, I don't know what it was going to take for Secret Service to address the situation. And the question is, why did they receive all of these red flags and still allow the president to take the stage?